Hi, this is Mac Daddy, and you're watching the MAK Grills channel. So to turn on your MAK grill, you simply turn the switch to on and it will automatically start in smoke mode. To turn off the MAK grill, you simply turn the switch to off. It will go into a countdown timer to cool down the grill and then automatically shut off. It will cool the grill all the way down to 160 degrees and then have a 4-minute countdown timer and then shut off. If you want to override the auto cool down shut off sequence, you can just press any button and it will shut the grill off. The fuse holder is right on the front of the controller, and you can pull that out to change out the fuse if necessary. As you can see, the screen on the display will still be lit up with the fuse out. The fuse only protects the fan, the auger motor, and the igniter. The select button is one that is used to scroll through the different screens. So every time we push the select button, we can scroll to a different screen. You can do the same thing by using the arrow buttons. The arrow buttons are also used to change the different configurations of the screens when you are setting a new temperature or an alarm, as in this case. The temperature probe jacks can be plugged into 1, 2, or 3, and they will monitor the internal temperature of the food that you're cooking in your MAK grill. As you can see, this one's climbing as we have plugged into probe 1, and it will end up stopping somewhere around the ambient temperature that it's at right now. When setting an alarm on the meat probe for the MAK grill, you can go from off all the way to 225 degrees. That's the maximum temperature you can set an alarm at for each of the probes. If you have it set to off, then there's no A in the probe screen, and it will just simply display whatever the probe temperature is currently. To set a temperature on your MAK grill, you would simply press the set button and the temperature will flash. Currently it's set on smoke, and as you can see, it's flashing. If we arrow up, we can go from 200 all the way to 450 as a set point temperature. So let's say we want to set the grill at 275. We would just arrow up to 275 on the screen, hit the set button, and now the grill will be set on 275 degrees. When you set a temperature, you can actually go down past smoke and scroll the other direction to high, down to 450, so you can go either way, and you can do this on all of the screens. So the first screen that we're going to talk about is the set point screen. That's the screen in which you can change the temperature of the MAK grill to whatever your desired temperature is going to be for cooking. The next screen down is the display of the cooking temperature itself. This displays the actual temperature of the grill currently. So you have both a set point display of what you want the grill to be at and an actual display of what the grill is at. As you can see right now, this one says it's igniting. That's a typical sequence for when you first start the grill up to ignite the pellets on fire. And this temperature down here is what the thermocouple would be reading currently inside the grill. To set a timer, you'll arrow down or press the select button to the timer screen. Press and hold the set button for 3 seconds and the minutes will flash. So if we arrow up now, we can add 1 minute at a time increments. If we hit the select button again, it will switch over to the hours. So in this case, it would be a 1 hour and 4 minutes. When you hit the set button, it displays the timer that you're going to use, and then to start it, you have to press the set button one more time. Now the timer is counting down. When it gets to the bottom, the grill will alarm and the screen will flash. To stop the timer, you just press the set button again and the timer will be paused, and you can start it again by pressing the set button, so on and so forth. To start all over and clear it, you're going to have to press and hold the set button for 3 seconds, and then it will go back to zeros and you can set a new timer. So the elapsed timer screen you can use to count up to see how long you've had something cooking for. So you can use this screen to let you know how long you've been cooking. Let's say that rack of ribs, maybe it's been 5 hours and you don't remember when you put it on. If you set the elapsed timer, it will count up so you can get that information. To reset the elapsed timer, press and hold the set button for 3 seconds and it will go back to 0. User programs are used to switch the grill temperature automatically based on time or by meat probe temperature. To set these up, you would press the set button, change it from off to setup, press the set button again to accept that, and then we start with the first temperature that you want the grill to cook at. So let's say we want the grill to cook at 250 degrees to start with. We would set that for 250. Then it says end 1.1. It wants to know when to switch temperatures. So in this case, we want to go arrow down to time and put in a time for how long we want it to cook at 250 degrees. So we'll say 1 minute. Then what temperature do we want it to switch to after the time is over? So let's say we want to switch to 300 degrees after that 1 minute. We would switch to 300 degrees. And then it wants to know how long do we cook at 300 degrees. Well, instead of saying time this time, let's say we want it to cook until a meat probe 1 reaches 150 degrees. So we set meat probe 1 to 150. And then it says, okay, 1.3, what temperature do you want to switch to after meat probe 1 reaches 150 degrees? Let's say we want to stop right there. We would change the temperature to whatever it is that we're going to switch to, let's say smoke, and then end at none. Once you end at none, it will go back to the user screen, and in order to run this program you have to change the off to start. This says check meat probes because we didn't have one plugged into jack number 1. So we're going to start it again. So now it says running. Probe 1 is showing a temperature. User 1 is running, so your program is running. And then this screen shows what user 1 is doing. So right now it's on the timer. So we're set at 250 degrees for that 1 minute timer. Once this screen reaches 0, it will switch to the next temperature, which in our case was 300 degrees. So we're set at 250 for 1 minute. The Pellet Boss will beep 3 times as it's changing temperature, and as you can see the new set point is now 300 degrees. And it will stay there until meat probe 1 reaches 150 degrees. Once that happens, it would switch to smoke, and it would stay there the remainder of the cook. So you can use these user programs to cook at various different temperatures throughout the sequence based on time or based on meat probe temperature. Again, when you want to end the program, whichever spot you want it to stop, you have to put in a sequence of none. There are up to 5 different sequences that you can set for each user program. There are 3 different user programs. The memory will be saved for each of these programs. So if you want to overwrite a program, you have to go in and reset it up all over again, because the program that you had in there from the last go around will still be in there. You can use these user programs to do a variety of different types of cooking. Some people like to cook for a certain amount of time, let's say on smoke, and then crank up the heat to a different temperature and till the meat reaches a certain internal temperature, and then back down to a holding temperature to not overcook the food, all without ever touching the grill. This is a very nice, unique sequence for visiting with guests and allowing the grill to just automatically go through the cooking process that you had intended to set up. Again, you can save these user programs as 1, 2, or 3 for favorites. So maybe your favorite user program for cooking pork shoulders is on number 1, your favorite user program for cooking turkeys is on number 2, and so on and so forth. Again, a big thing that has to happen for these user programs is they have to be changed once they're set up from off to start, and once that happens they'll run. You can use your MAK Grills owner's manual or the cookbook to get the instructions on the user programs. The active screen scrolling allows you to view a snapshot of all the operating functions of the grill that are active. So in this case we have a user program running. Now it's switched to the set point temperature of the grill. This is the actual grill temp screen. Probe 1, since we have a probe attached, is showing up as 71 degrees. It skips past the other probes because they're not active. This is the elapsed timer screen. And back to a user screen because we have a user program running. So any screen that's active, it will automatically scroll through. So with the screen that's scrolling into the different live functions, you can actually lock the screen to view one specific screen. So if we want to view the elapsed timer, we can press and hold the select button for 3 seconds and a little lock icon will appear on the screen. Now it will not scroll to the other screens, it will be simply locked on that elapsed timer screen the entire time. To clear this lock, you can press any button and it will remove the lock and it will continue to scroll through the active screens. Next we're going to show you alarms on the controller. So if we were to set up a timer or a meat probe alarm or a user screen, anything that's going to have a alarm sequence to it, when it reaches the alarm sequence, the screen will flash and you'll have an audible alarm that will also beep for approximately 10 minutes and then it will shut off. The screen will continue to flash until you've pushed any button. Once the timer reaches 0, the alarm will sound and the screen will flash. To clear any alarm, just press any button